What exactly are window functions? Window functions are functions that return a single value for computation applied to a set of rows defined by a window specification. In this definition, the keywords here are computation and window specification. Now, what that means is that the window functions would operate on a set of rows and return a single aggregated value for each row. Now, what does window actually describe? The term window describes the set of rows in the table or the database on which the functions will operate. Now, this window function is known as the computation that needs to be applied. Now, the window specification will then now show or describe the set of rows in the table on which this window will operate. Now, unlike your group functions, window functions do not cause rows to be grouped into a single output row. Now, the rows would retain their separate identities and an aggregated value will be added to each row. Now, let's look at this very simple table here to buttress our explanation. I have this table that contains store, product, and revenue. If I wanted to get the entire revenue from all the stores, what I would have done was to have written a group function SQL query by saying select some revenue from sales lt.sales. Now, what this return is, it would return a single value of all the sum of the revenue. Now, if I wanted to get the sum of the revenue for each store, what that means is I then now have to group by each of the store, and this will give me the revenue generated for each store. However, if I wanted to get the sum using a window function, what that means is that the window functions would operate on each set of the rows and return a single aggregated value for each row. Looking at the example on the screen, if I wanted to use a window function to get the cumulative sum of the revenue such that it does not return one value for the aggregation, what I can then now do is write a window function and the final output would look like this. Now you can see how the revenue becomes a window function which operates on each set of rows and return a single aggregated value for each row. Now you can see that the revenue is a accumulation of every window value or of every row value for this particular table. So what that means is 120 plus 300 will give me 420, 420 plus 450 would give me 870, 870 plus 100 will give me 970, 970 plus 200 will give me 1170, 1170 plus 350 will give me 1520. Now, we have various kinds of window function. We have the aggregate window functions, just like we're familiar with aggregate functions in the group by clause. And these aggregate functions are your sum, your average, your mean, your max, your count. There are still a whole lot of aggregate functions, but let us stick with these as they are like the most common aggregate window functions. We then now have the ranking window functions, which would rank every rows based on either rank, row number, bench rank, and entile. We have the value window functions, which are your lag, your lead, your first value, last value, and the nth value. Let's look at how we can write the window functions using the pseudo syntax. Now it starts with the window function and all expression over partition by partition list, order by order list. Now let's break it down. The window function itself, as you can see in this pseudo syntax, specifies the name of the window functions, which can either be your aggregate functions like your count, your min, your max. It could be your ranking window functions like your rank, your row number, your dense rank. It could also be the value window function like your lead and lag. Now, the all expression is an optional keyword. Now, when you include all, it will count all values, including duplicated ones. Please do note that you cannot use the distinct keyword in the window function. The expression there represents the target column or expression that the functions operate on. In other words, the name of the column for which we need an aggregated value. For example, a column containing order amount so that we can see the total order received. Now, over specifies the window clause for the aggregate functions. The partition by the partition by defines a partition list which defines the windows or the set of rows of which the window function operates for the window functions. Now we need to provide a field or a list of fields for the partition after the partition by clause. Multiple fields need be separated by comma as usual. If you should exclude the partition by, or if the partition by is not specified, grouping will be done on the entire table and values will be aggregated accordingly. The order by in the order by list sorts the row with each partition. Now, if this is excluded, the order by uses the entire table or order bys the entire table. Now we will head over to our server and see how we can knit this pseudo syntax together and write a window function for a couple of business questions.